Bitter criticism Sunday night afternoon.
Falta recreo. Recreo por tal y va.
Y después sale la wea de...
I don't know what I'm going to read now. I guess I have to read Forbidden Russia Today, yeah. Forbidden news for the free world. I guess Russia Today is still forbidden. I have this feeling. Forbidden news. Top Kiev official wants women conscripted into army. I just have a news for Pavel Palisa. Ukraine is dead.
Tío, porque a mí si yo no he hecho ni una wea mala, wea.
So here we go. April 13, 2025. Home, Russia and former Soviet Union. Top Kiev official wants women conscripted into army. Presidential AD Pavel Palisa has suggested, quote, learning from the Israeli experience, end quote. Terrible. Ukrainian presidential administration's deputy head, Colonel Pavel Palisa. It's funny because in Spanish, Palisa is beating. They are going to beat women in the Ukrainian army, and they are keep beating Palestinian women and Ukrainian women. Well, yeah, Ukrainian women still dying. The Ukrainian presidential administration's deputy head, Colonel Pavel Palisa, has voiced support for mandatory conscription for women, drawing inspiration from the Israeli approach. Israel is facing a shortage of troops, leading enlistment officers to employ aggressive tactics shown in numerous eyewitness videos. Yeah, and there's no more men between 20 and 40 years in Ukraine. He also proposed that individuals who have not served in the military be restricted from accessing certain government benefits and opportunities, including employment in public services roles. And says, quote, if a citizen claims to support the state, job, education, I don't know, in general to claim some payments from the state budget, they should serve. There is a minimum contract. Let it be annual, end quote. The official suggested. Palisa went on to state that both men and women in a modern army, quote, have a lot of different jobs. No matter how wild it sounds now, maybe we need to learn the experience of Israel is in this, end quote, he explained. After the conflict with Russia escalated in February 2022, Ukraine implemented martial law and announced a general mobilization, preventing able-bodied men aged 18 to 60 from leaving the country. Both measures have been extended multiple times since, in response to the mobilization drive being marred by corruption and draft dodging. Last year, the Ukrainian government lowered the conscription age to 25 and implemented stricter penalties for evading the draft and desertion. Oh, there's a beautiful woman from Kiev. And says, Kiev touts dating prospects to lure men into military. That's funny because they are using even TikTok, you know. I saw some TikTok videos saying in Spanish, hey, these Ukrainian women, they are all alone now. Anyway, I'm going to read that one. Since February, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry has been offering enrollment initiatives to men aged 18 to 24 who are not subject to compulsory service. Chief among these is who are not subjected to compulsory service. Chief among these is compensation of 1 million Irvia, which is $24,000. What a weak currency. Can you see 1 million Irvina? Well, it's not so bad. Chilean currency is worst. For 1 year of service, the ministry has also released several videos showcasing how the money could supposedly enhance recruits' lives. And let me tell you, recruits just live 88 hours in the front line. That's the truth, 8 hours, and then they die. However, according to Palisa, fewer than 500 men have signed such contracts. Quote, some agreed verbally but never followed through with signing. In some cases, parents intervene. Others thought, quote, peace is coming soon, no need for this, end quote. There are all kinds of reasons, end quote, he said, commenting on the low number. Peace, which peace? Kiev will be extinct. Ukraine will be divided. Ukraine will be smaller than Moldova. There's a creepy news. I know, but this is very old. Kiev touts dating prospects to lure men into military. Well, I guess that's normal. The second. And says April 13, 2025, home, Russia and former Soviet Union. Russian military confirms shooting down Ukrainian F-16 jet. Moscow has reported the destruction of a US-designed warplane for the first time. And there's a photograph of a F-16 fighter jets operated by Ukraine. Russian forces have shot down a US-designed F-16 fighter jet operated by Ukraine. The defense ministry in Moscow has said it is the first time that the Russian military has announced the destruction of an F-16 since Kiev's western backers began deliveries of the fourth generation aircraft to Ukraine last summer. Quote, an F-16 aircraft of the Ukrainian Air Force was shot down by air defense means. End quote. The ministry said in its daily briefing on Sunday without revealing any further details. On Saturday, the Ukrainian Air Force reported the loss of one of its F-16 fighters. An interdepartmental commission was then established to find out what caused the plane to go down, it added. Vladimir Zelensky later confirmed that Ukrainian pilot Pavel Ivanov has been killed, quote, during an F-16 combat mission, end quote. He promised, quote, a strong and precise response, implying Russia was behind the destruction of the jet. A government source told BBC Ukraine on Saturday that the F-16 had been shot down by the Russian military. Quote, in total, the Russians fired 3 missiles at the plane. It was either a guided anti-aircraft missile from a S-400 ground-based system or an Air-37 air-to-air missile, end quote. The outlet claimed. The source also ruled out friendly fire as a reason for the loss of the jet, claiming that Ukrainian air defenses have not been active in that area.
Estación Francia.
It marks the second confirmed loss of an F-16 by Ukraine. The first was destroyed and its pilot killed under unclear circumstances last August. The results of an investigation into the incident were never announced to the public. However, multiple media reports indicated that the plane was likely shot down by the country's own aircraft defenses by mistake. Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Norway pledged to supply Kiev with up to 80 F-16s after receiving permission to do so from the previous administration of U.S. President Joe Biden, though most of them will take years to arrive. What? How many years? In 2024, Ukraine received about 18 aircraft. The Kiev authorities once claimed that the U.S.-designed jets will become a game changer in the conflict with Russia, but since the loss of the first aircraft, their use in combat has been limited, with the F-16 being mainly deployed away from the contact line for air defense purposes.
Por tu seguridad y la de todos los pasajeros.
This
no te
may be one of
sientes
the
en el
last.
suelo.
This is the, April 13, Russia and Ukraine to hold direct talks. CNN Turk. Delegations from the two countries will meet in Turkey to discuss security in the Black Sea, the outlet has claimed. And looks like is a Turkey flag actually. Yeah. It says participants sit at the table during the Russian-Ukraine talks at the Dolmabahce Palace in Istanbul, Turkey. Russian and Ukrainian representatives will hold direct talks in Ankara next week, CNN Turk has reported, citing sources in the Turkish Defense Ministry. Delegations from the two countries will meet to discuss security in the Black Sea, the outlet said in an article on Sunday. The meeting will take place on Tuesday and Wednesday at the Turkish Naval Forces headquarters in Ankara, according to sources. However, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiga claimed that the reports are false and, quote-unquote, no talks were planned, according to TCH TV channel. During talks between Russian and U.S. experts in Riyadh in late March, it was agreed to move forward, receiving the Black Sea Grain Initiative, which, according to the Kremlin, should include the removal of Western restrictions against the Russian Agricultural Bank and other financial institutions involved in the international sale of food and fertilizers. A maritime ceasefire is seen by Moscow and Washington as a step towards the diplomatic settlement of the Ukraine conflict. The Black Sea Grain Initiative, originally brokered in July 2022 by the UN and Turkey, envisioned the safe passage of Ukrainian agricultural products in exchange for the US and EU lifting its restrictions on Russian grain and fertilizer exports. Moscow withdrew from the deal a year later, citing the West's failure to uphold its obligations. Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky claimed earlier that Kiev rejected a maritime truce due to it representing, quote, a weakening of positions and a weakening of sanctions, end quote, against Russia.
Estación Puerto.
U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed last month that his administration is considering lifting some curbs on Moscow in order to revive the Black Sea Grain Initiative, saying that, quote, there are about 5 or 6 conditions. We are looking at all of them, end quote. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen ruled out relaxing EU restrictions on Moscow, insisting they should, quote, remain in effect until a just and lasting peace is established in Ukraine, end quote. According to Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, the maritime truce could take effect only when certain conditions set out by Russia are met. Quote, of course, this time justice must prevail, and we will continue our work with the Americans on the Black Sea Initiative, Peskov stressed.
Estación Puerto. Todos los pasajeros deben descender.
And well, forbidden news for the free world. They are people need grains. People don't care about politics that much. They even need grains to make war. That's the truth.